For the first time in centuries, the last god of Asgard found tranquility. However, his serenity was ephemeral. A storm emerged suddenly, and Mjolnir landed beside him. Thor had failed to lift the hammer that should have been his, the hammer that should have led him on countless adventures. But both in the past and in the present, Thor failed. He failed the day the Masters of Evil reduced Asgard to ashes. Since then, Thor only longed to be alone. But even in that he had failed. Mjolnir followed him wherever he went, a constant reminder of his failures, of his unworthiness. Hatred and depression had followed him even to the most remote corners of the planet. Thor, in his fury, struck Mjolnir until his fists bled. But then a voice told him that is not how a fist is thrown, not with anger but with a focused mind, that he was doing more damage to himself than to that thing. Thor asked who it was, to which the man replied, "I am Kung, the Thunderer, guardian of Kunlun." The Thunderer asked if Thor had come seeking wisdom, to which Thor replied that he was only seeking oblivion. But he could see through his lies. He knew he was Thor, the god of thunder. Thor begged him not to call him that he is now the god of nothing. The Thunderer replied that he was then in the right place. Thor entered the city of Kunlun, but found that even this city had been devastated. The mystical world too had fallen, and the only survivor was the Thunderer, the guardian of the ashes of Kunlun, and the only key to the secret spark of an ancient power. The invaders had forgotten one important thing: you can't kill a dragon with fire. Behind the huge doors lay the dragon Shou-Lao. From his heart was born the most powerful of weapons, the Iron Fist. But at that moment, the power had no owner. For that reason, the Thunderer offered this power to Thor. But Thor was confused, as he had always felt unworthy. Suddenly, Mjolnir pushed him and Thor responded by hitting it. The Thunderer suggested that, although he may not be worthy of lifting the hammer, he could handle other weapons. Thor asked him if he was going to train him, to which Kung replied that the training had already begun. He asked Thor to strike Mjolnir again. The hammer made with a rock of creation, the most resistant substance in all realms, strong enough to break worlds and easily break the bones of the gods. After 30 nights and 30 days of training, Thor's fists became almost as hard as his hammer, and after 30 more days, the hammer began to respond. It seemed to complain about the blows, until it started to dodge Thor's fists. He had made the hammer feel pain, so it gave him more strength to continue hitting it. And that's when the hammer stopped dodging and began to attack. The Thunderer told Thor not to fear. It was the hammer who was afraid, the hammer that believed Thor was unworthy. So he had to show it what kind of god he was, that Odinson is not the god of wind and rain, he is not the god of storms. He was the god who strikes. The Thunderer asked Thor if after beating and corrupting the spirit of the hammer, would he wield it again? To which he responded with a resounding no! Suddenly the Thunderer attacked him. Thor was confused, but Kung assured him that he was only doing what Thor had asked, training him. He had beaten a floating hammer, but that did not make him worthy of the Iron Fist. After all, Kung was the last guardian of Shou-Lao. He was the final test, the Thunderer against the god of thunder. Thor asked him not to call him that. What followed was a punch so powerful that it sent the Thunderer flying. The Guardian was amazed. He had never felt a perfect blow. It was an honor for him to receive that blow. And now the door to his destiny was open, and finally Thor could see the truth. The dragon was dead. Such was the power of the enemies they had faced. That meant that Thor could not obtain the Iron Fist. But the Thunderer was not training Thor to carry the fist of Kunlun, but to learn to use the weapons he was born with, weapons that speak louder than thunder. Now he just had to use them wisely. From that day on, Thor became the god of fists, and Mjolnir became his companion, with one condition: to never stand in his way.